Making her comedy debut, please welcome Danielle Shans.
Hi, so I was born in New York, but my parents are immigrants. They came from France, really from France. We're not coneheads, we're not from Revillac, we're really from France. So I went to a French school, I spoke French at home, and everybody in the French school was bilingual, and I had an absolute best friend. We were inseparable. We dressed alike, we look alike, we sound alike, we're the Patty Duke show, we were the Parent Trap. We were best friends. In high school, she moved back to France and I stayed in New York. Lately, we've reconnected, and it's amazing. We still look alike, we still sound alike, we still dress alike. We see the world the same way, but there are some differences that I think are due to the fact that she lives in France and I still live in New York. So the first difference is she smokes. I told her that is really bad for your health. She told me it calms her nerves. I do Bikram yoga. She told me that doing warrior pose in 104 degrees and 40% humidity is really bad for my health. And I told her, this is how I unwind. Now, Mr. Bikram Choudhury, who created Bikram yoga, is not Mr. Zen himself. He has been accused by several women of rape. So he falls somewhere between Trump and Cosby. In that, he does more than grope women, but he doesn't actually drug them. And come to think of it, I live in a Trump building, and I love my Trump apartment, and I love my Bikram yoga. And I do not believe that you have to love the men in order to love their work. So even if Einstein did cheat on his wife, and even if Einstein did marry his first cousin, that doesn't mean that his formula, E equal MC squared, is wrong. It's still right. So my girlfriend, going back to my girlfriend, another big difference is she has never been married. She has had lots of long-term boyfriends, she's had children with those boyfriends, but she never did the paperwork, and she was never married. Me, I love being married. I love the paperwork, I'm a lawyer, it's fine with me. The only difference is, I don't like being married to the same person for very long. So I've been divorced. I've been divorced several times, and I'm not going to tell you the number. I'll just tell you it's more than one. It's less than Liz Taylor. I'm young, I still have time, I might catch up to her. Another difference is my girlfriend, her boyfriends have cheated on her. Every single boyfriend has cheated on her. That's not surprising. We're talking about France. France invented infidelity. The kings, they had mistresses, and they gave their mistresses chateaus. Chateaus that you can go visit, they're beautiful. In France, mistress is a royal title. It's not the equivalent of homewrecker. Now me, in New York, I don't worry about my boyfriend cheating on me. He doesn't know where I hide the Viagra. And ladies, Viagra, this is the real women's lib pill. Because when your man is taking Viagra, forget the Spanx, forget the high heels, forget the lipstick, come as you are, make no effort, you are hot. So, even though we live apart, my girlfriend and I are so similar, we would swap lives in a nanosecond. She would love to live in New York and have a faithful, if less active, boyfriend. And I would love to live in France and not have my divorce lawyer on speed dial. Now, I can't say the same for my children. My children are completely different, one from the other. They have the same biological parents. They have the same step-parents. They have the same home, the same dog. They went to the same school. You'd think they would be alike. No, not so. My daughter lives in California. She rides bicycles for entertainment. She rides very expensive bicycles. We're talking thousands of dollars, not hundreds. And they weigh less than my handbag. She rides in races that go on for hours, and they have the word death in them. And she does this, remember, recreationally. My son, on the other hand, who lives in New York, he bought a skateboard because he didn't want to walk to the subway station that's 3 blocks away. Now, don't think my son is lazy. He's not lazy. He works for Postmates, and for them, he was a bicycle delivery boy, and he used his bicycle all hours, all types of weather. He was risking death by taxi door opening, but he didn't do it recreationally. He did it for the rent money. So he has a different motivation. The other difference, my daughter, she orders her food from a farm. She gets fresh produce, she gets grass-fed beef, all in a little box from a local farm. This is very good for her health, and this is very good for the environment. My son, on the other hand, he orders Papa John's pizza, half off, when the Rangers score 3 goals in a good game. This is not good for the environment. This is certainly not good for his health, but is really good for his savings because he's trying to get season tickets. The other thing my daughter does, which takes a lot of guts, is she swims in the Pacific Ocean. And if you don't know, it's freezing and it's dangerous. My son, he gets his rush, like all of us New Yorkers, from his coffee, which saves him from riptides and from sharks. Now, even if my kids switched places and switched lives, she would still be getting up at 6 a.m. and he would still be going to bed at 6 a.m. Which they really could live in one apartment with 1 bedroom and save a lot of money. For me, as a mom, it's wonderful having kids on opposite sleep schedules because that means there's always someone awake to help me with my electronic problems, electronic devices. And speaking of California, I have another family member who lives in California, and that's my sister. And my sister, who was raised with me in New York in the French school, she has a really beautiful home, and it's a mansion. It's got a tennis court, it's got a swimming pool, and just to give you an idea, when she was working, she asked her husband, "Can we afford for me to quit my job?" And he said, and I quote, "You can't spend it as fast as I can make it."
Whoa. Nice. Nice.
And she took that as a personal challenge. So now, she buys artwork at Sotheby's, and she buys homes, and she buys Tesla cars. She is a one-person wealth redistribution program. Now, my lifestyle is not so lavish, but I think my parenting skills are really good. So I'm visiting her, and her kids are horsing around. They're throwing pillows. So she says to them in a very nice, calm voice, "If you don't stop that, I'm going to withhold some privileges from you." And the kids are like, whatever. And she says, "You will not be able to ride in the jet to our home in Aspen. You will have to ride commercial." Her kids, needless to say, kept horsing around. And I was thinking, when my kids were that young, what did I do when they were out of line? And I remembered, I cut off their cell phones. I got their attention. You have to go for the basic necessities, not the privileges. That's how you do it. The other difference between my sister and I is food. Food, big issue. So I show up there at 3 in the afternoon and she offers me water and no food. Now, luckily I'm from New York. I came with food. I went to La Durée, which is a French pastry store here on the Upper East Side, nowhere where I live, nowhere near work, and I bought these fabulous macaroons. They are the best in the world. And there is no La Durée in San Francisco. They're all over the world, Hong Kong, Paris, London. In the United States, 3 stores, 2 in New York, of course, 1 in Miami, none anywhere else. So I took these macaroons, I brought them by subway to Penn Station, by train to Newark, by plane to California, by car to the suburban house of my sister, and I offer her these fabulous macaroons. And you know what she says to me? She says, "I don't eat sugar." And I was like, I should have known. Since she moved to California, the only thing she eats, kale leaves and Chardonnay. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for coming out.
Danielle Shans! Danielle Shans, great job.